Welcome back, guys, and thanks for stopping on in today. If you're interested in getting our daily free pick, you can head on over to our main website, stumpthespread.com, by clicking in the logo in the top right-hand corner of the screen if you're on desktop, and we'll also link Stump the Spread in the video description. We were able to get USC to come through for us as the free pick yesterday, later on in the day, and we got another free pick up there today, so if you're interested in checking that out, you can go over there and do that. If you're looking to get more of this pick video content in the future, you can click that subscribe button, and if you can click the thumbs up on this video, it's greatly appreciated. Today we're going to be talking about some decent value bets against the spread in college basketball for February 2nd, 2017. And in this video, I got about 8 games that I just want to touch on and give my take as who's the better pick against the spread. So we're going to start in the SEC between Missouri and Florida. Missouri continues to be a work in progress. Their current head coach, a great legend there basketball-wise in the state of Missouri, but he's having a tough time turning this program around right now. This was a Missouri basketball program that was really doing some great things not all that long ago, but now they sit in the basement of the SEC, and that's becoming more of a consistent trend for not just the Missouri basketball team, but also their football team as well. But just tough for them to gain traction right now in the SEC in either sport. Missouri going on the road here against Florida. The Florida Gators coming off some really big blowout wins recently, demolishing LSU on the road, and then in the SEC Big 12 Challenge, Florida looked great again as they went on to blow out Oklahoma on the road. This is a Florida squad that is going to be representing the SEC in the NCAA tournament this year. They have a really solid veteran lineup, not necessarily any one guy that really jumps off the page necessarily and is going to, get you that, something like 18, 19, 20 points a game. It's more of a team that likes to spread the ball around to a bunch of different options and kind of lean on different guys depending on matchups and things like that. Florida has been blowing out competition that they've been expected to beat lately, and going against one of the lesser teams in the SEC at home behind their home crowd advantage, we feel like Florida can go ahead and run away with this one, and we're going to have them giving the points here and siding with Florida as the better bet in this matchup. Moving on down to the Big Ten, we have an interesting matchup here between Michigan State and Nebraska. Michigan State has been a tough team to figure out all year, and you really expect this group to be inconsistent given the fact that they lean on a number of young guys to lead the team. Michigan State got off to a really hot start in the Big Ten, but they have not been putting up the same kind of results as of late. Michigan State was able to get a really big win in their last outing at home against Michigan in that rivalry matchup, and now Michigan State will head back out on the road to a pretty tricky matchup here. This Nebraska squad, they've shown that they can compete with the best in the conference. They won at Maryland recently. They won at home against Purdue. Nebraska has more defeats than wins right now in the conference, but even their losses came in very competitive fashion. This is a Nebraska program that is really looking up in terms of what they're going to be able to do in the future as they continue to develop their a number of underclassmen that have been taking on larger roles as the year has progressed. Nebraska has an excellent home court advantage, and Michigan State could very well be pressing in this one given the fact that they know they need to continue to rack up wins, and this is not going to be an easy one by any stretch of the imagination. Nebraska, behind their home court advantage, we do like them to come through in this one, winning this one straight up. Illinois-Chicago versus Green Bay. UIC, they've been without forward Dikembe Dixon for a while now. He was averaging over 20 points per game, and replacing that kind of production is very difficult. This Illinois-Chicago team, we knew they were going to be taking a step forward this year, and they've been doing that even without Dixon on the floor necessarily, but as of late, the Flames have not looked as good. They've fallen in some rather convincing defeats, but in their last outing at least, Illinois-Chicago was a bit more competitive, losing to Wright State by just 2 points. But now they go out on the road to face what's currently the second team in the Horizon standings. That's going to be Green Bay. The Phoenix are a very deep group that can spread the ball around to a bunch of different guys on the offensive end. This team has the pieces really to compete for the Horizon automatic bid once March rolls around. Green Bay is a little less consistent than we'd like to see, given the amount of depth and talent that they have. We saw that in their recent road trip, for instance. Green Bay goes into Oakland, and they pick up a really nice win there. And then in their next outing, they go on the road against Detroit, who's one of the lesser teams in the conference, and they go on to lose that one. We're just not getting that consistency that we'd like to see out of Green Bay, but they don't also necessarily have the most elite home court advantage by any means, but against an Illinois-Chicago squad that's heading in the wrong direction, we feel like Green Bay should be able to get the job done here on their home court, giving the points as the better bet in this matchup. All right, UAB and UTEP. These are two teams that are actually both on the rise in Conference USA. UAB was expected to really compete, for the conference regular season title coming into the year, and really one of the favorites to do that. We didn't see that much at all through the first couple of months of the regular season from the Blazers, but we have been seeing a bit more of their potential as of late. Tough matchup here going out on the road against a UTEP squad that's also been trending in a really positive direction. UTEP coming off that incredible win in their last outing on the road against Marshall, as they went on to blow out the Thundering Herd on the road. And that was a really strong offensive performance there from the Miners. Coming back home here with the momentum behind their home crowd, we do expect this to be a pretty competitive matchup, and getting UTEP with the 5 to 5.5 points feels like a pretty solid value bet in this matchup. And just moving one game down here to, we got CS Fullerton versus UC Santa Barbara. This Fullerton squad, they haven't quite lived up to the expectations that we thought they could this year. They have a number of strong guards over there at Fullerton who have shown flashes of great play, but for whatever reason, this group of guards just has a really hard time having every guy have a solid game on a game-to-game basis. They'll lean on one guy one game, one guy another game. You never exactly know who's going to be leading this group, and you don't always necessarily get consistent performances out of these guys, other than perhaps Trey Coggins, the transfer from Air Force, who's been a really solid contributor during his time at Fullerton. I don't think that the Titans feature him enough on the offensive end. When a guy like Lionheart Leslie gets into foul trouble and you see Coggins take over a larger role on the offensive end, good things tend to happen here for Fullerton, but that's not going to change for this group going forward. They're going on the road here against a UC Santa Barbara squad that's really been struggling throughout the regular season, and with Jalen Canty being out, an already weak offensive team is just that much worse. We do think Fullerton should be able to stay competitive here and really push for the win, especially if we get a good outing here from Coggins, who's hoping to close out his college career on a positive note after really doing some great things during his time in college ball, even though he hasn't been able to make a name for himself on the national stage by any means. Still one of the better guards in college basketball that most people haven't heard of through his career. We do like Fullerton to push for the win here as they go on to get the cover here in what's a pick'em right now. Fullerton was getting 1 point, but now they're just a pick'em, but we still like them here to go on and win this one straight up. All right, just a few more games that I want to touch on in today's video. Moving on down here, Gonzaga versus BYU. Usually a pretty interesting matchup here in the WCC. Gonzaga's moved their way up to number 1 in the polls. They've been putting up dominating performances throughout the regular season, and this is a group that's really making a push, concerted effort to get the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Gonzaga, the spread's moved down here, which is good news here for Gonzaga backers. Obviously, BYU has a great home court advantage, and they're going against a BYU squad who's one of the better teams in WCC, but the Cougars have been susceptible to the defeat against some of the teams that aren't necessarily Gonzaga or St. Mary's in this conference, and that's wasn't the goal of this squad coming into the year. Behind their home court advantage, BYU will have an outside shot at potentially making a run here, but just the consistent dominant efforts we've been getting out of Gonzaga, it's really hard to make a case to go against them. And with this spread shrinking a bit, we feel like Gonzaga giving the 8.5 points is the better bet in this matchup. All right, UNC Greensboro versus UT Chattanooga, two of the top teams in the Southern Conference. We expected the Southern Conference to really have a number of strong teams coming into the year, and that's been the case in the upper half of this league. Excuse me. UNC Greensboro, they've been pretty consistent in conference in terms of picking up wins. I'm not sure that this group is quite as talented across the board as some of the other top teams in the conference, and we'll see how that plays out as we head down the stretch here going towards the month of March. I really value teams like Chattanooga, ETSU, and Furman above Greensboro in this conference, but UNC Greensboro definitely has an outside shot at perhaps getting the automatic bid from this conference if they get hot. Going on the road here against Chattanooga, a decently tough environment. Chattanooga has really been able to build up their fan base over the last couple of years given the amount of solid veteran talent that they have. Chattanooga made a run last year, and they bring back a lot of that same talent this year. Chattanooga has slipped up in a couple of recent games, but we do like them to get back on track here on their home court, and giving the 8.5 points, we're going to side with the Chattanooga Mocs here to go on to cover this spread. And just one more game that I want to touch on in today's video is between Belmont versus Murray State. Another very intriguing mid-major matchup that we have here. Belmont has been showing really well in the OVC this season. This is going to be one of their toughest tests, though, in conference play, going on the road against Murray State, who's currently leading the West Division. Belmont's over in the East Division, of course. Murray State has probably the best home court advantage in the conference and one of the better ones in the mid-majors overall. This is a basketball program that gets a ton of support from their fan base. Murray State has been a little bit up and down in conference play, but generally been taking care of business on their home court, and we know that we're going to get an amazing effort out of Murray State today on their home court, as this is pretty much their Super Bowl going against the undefeated Belmont Bruins at home, and they're going to be giving that extra effort to potentially pick up the upset win. This game doesn't necessarily mean all that much to Belmont. They have a pretty solid hold on their lead right now in the East Division, and we don't think that Belmont will necessarily take this one quite as seriously as Murray State. As a result, we do think that the Racers will be able to potentially push for the upset, and getting the 4 points on their home court seems like a pretty solid value bet to us in this particular matchup. So that's basically going to be it for the games that I wanted to touch on in today's video. Again, if you're interested in getting our daily free pick over at our main website, you can head on over to stumpthespread.com by visiting our website by clicking this logo in the top right hand corner of the video if you're on desktop, and we'll also link Stump the Spread in the video description. And if you want more of this content in the future, you can click that subscribe button, and if you click the thumbs up on this video, it's greatly appreciated. So thanks guys for stopping in, and we'll see you in the next college basketball video. Thanks a lot. Bye.